So let's look at factorising by grouping. We use this method when we have 4 terms in the expression. Before we start looking at factorising, let's remind ourselves about expanding. So again, if you recall, we're going to use FOIL, firsts, outsides, insides, lasts. Multiply those out, firsts, outsides, insides, lasts. Notice I cannot collect any like terms here. We've got 4 terms. So let's look at that and factorise it back into those brackets. So this method is called grouping for a reason, because what we do is we pair them off and we do it as if it was a single bracket. Sometimes you'll have the pair next to each other, sometimes the pair is not next to each other. So in this case, I can see I've got A here and here, and I can see I've got D here and here. I could have chosen to use the C and C or the B and the B. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to choose to factorise this pair, and then I will choose to factorise this pair. So I'm grouping these two and I'm grouping these two. So if I factorise those, I have A outside the brackets, B plus C in the bracket. The aim now is to make the bracket for this pair the same as this one. So our aim is to make sure those two brackets are identical. So I know I want B plus C, but before I do that, D is common to both of these, so the factor of both of these is D, so D comes outside the bracket. I want the B and the C in the bracket. This is positive because they're all positive. So I have now started to group these. Finally, I have got this and this in both terms, so that is already a shared factor. All I need to do now is bring this one and those together in a bracket, and I have factorised by grouping, and that is the answer. Okay, let's have a go at a few questions. So again, we're looking for commonalities. I've got B in both of those, A in both of those. I could choose to use the X in those two or the Y in those two, it doesn't matter. I will stick with the A's and the B's. So if I just do this, I am going to have A is common to both of those. It's a factor in both. So X minus Y. I know I want X minus Y in the brackets. And in this case, the common factor is B. So that comes out the brackets. That will be a positive to make that a positive BX. And it would be a positive because there's a negative. Positive times a negative is a negative BY. So I have grouped those. A common factor to both is the X minus Y. All I've got left to do is put the A plus B in brackets. And that is factorised. Okay, looking at this, it looks quite complicated, but it's exactly the same. A and A, B and B, I will choose to do it this way. Common factors, well, 3 goes into both, A goes into both. I'm left with 5C plus 3D. Common factors, well, 2 goes into both, B goes into both. Now, I should be getting 5C plus 3D. Let's have a look. 2B times 5C is indeed 10BC. That needs to be positive to make it positive. And finally, 2 times 3 is 6. Got the B already, so it's just 3D. That works, they're both the same. So those are a common factor to both terms. And we just put the rest in the bracket. So they are factorised. Let's have a go at 2 more and then we're done. With this next one, just be careful with the signs. Now, what I would choose to do here is I would choose to keep the 2 3's together and the 2 A's together. So we have got 3 bracket. Now, this is where it gets confusing. I need to put a 1 in here because 3 times 1 is 3. Now, 3 times minus B is minus 3B. A is in both. Let's bring that out. So A times 1 is 1A. That needs to be positive to make that a positive A. A times minus B to give me minus AB. And that's good because they work out as 1 minus B each, which is exactly what I'm looking for. I need them to be the same. And there is our factorised expression. Last one. So in this case, I would change the order of this because if you look, this hasn't got P in it. So I don't want to try and group those because I can't. I can either group the P with the PR or the P with the PQ. I'm going to choose to do it with the PR. So I will group those two together and I will group those two together. And this is where you need to be a little bit careful. So Q is in both, P plus R. It's just making sure you get your signs right here. And this side here, P squared is just P times P. So I have got P outside. P times R, positive R, they're both positive, gives me positive PR. Plus P times P is P squared. Notice they are the same. P plus R is the same as saying R plus P. So we just choose which way to write it. I'm going to write it as P plus R. They are the same. Then we're multiplying that by Q plus P. And that is factorising by grouping. Before you move on to the next video, please like and subscribe. So the next video is about factorising quadratics with a coefficient greater than 1. And you'll need to know how to factorise by grouping before you do that. So hopefully you're good with this now.